Learning Unit 2, Legislative Framework for Furniture Industries. Lesson 3, Raw Materials and Waste Management. This Lesson 3 will focus on the Deforestation-Free Products Regulation, EUDR, the Chemical Strategy, the Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation, the Waste Framework Directive revision. The Deforestation-Free Products Regulation (EUDR) established the rules for placing and making available on the EU market products exported from the Union that are listed in the Annex 1. These products either contain, are fed with, or are made using relevant commodities, namely cattle, cocoa, coffee, oil palm, rubber, soya, and wood. Annex 1 includes, for example, wooden furniture and past therefore seats, etc. It was published as Regulation EU 2023-1115 on June 2023. The law will enter into force on 30 December 2025 for large companies and on 30 June 2026 for micro and small companies. Under the regulation, any operator or trader who places these goods on the EU market or export from them must be able to prove that the products do not originate from recently deforested land or have contributed to forest degradation. Relevant goods and relevant products should not be placed or made available on the market or exported, unless all the following conditions are fulfilled. They are deforestation-free, they have been produced in accordance with the relevant legislation of the country or production, they are covered by a due diligence statement, which includes the collection of the required information, risk assessment measures, and risk mitigation measures. Operators should establish and keep a framework of procedures and measures up to date to ensure that the relevant products they place on the market or export comply with these requirements due diligence system. Do you know the real origin of the wood used in your products? The chemical strategy aims to ensure that all chemicals are used in a safer and more sustainable way, to promote the minimization and substitution, when possible, of chemicals with chronic effects on human health and the environment, substances of concern, and to phase out the most harmful chemicals for non-essential uses in society, in particular in consumer products. It was published as Commission Communication 667 Final in October 2020. It is a strategy and it doesn't contain legal requirements by itself, but only recommendations for action, such as the review of legislation. It sets out action to support innovations for safe and sustainable chemicals, to strengthen the protection of human health and the environment, to simplify and to strengthen the legal framework on chemicals, to build a comprehensive knowledge base to support evidence-based policy making, and to set an example for sound management of chemicals worldwide. The strategy includes the revision of the most relevant EU chemicals regulations, mainly REACH and CLP regulations. Furniture manufacturing companies, as downstream users of regulated substances, should guarantee the safe use of chemicals by implementing the operating condition and risk management measures as contained in the safety data sheets provided to suppliers, inform suppliers about the use of their chemicals, especially if the uses are not covered in the information received or the safety advice is not appropriate. If the specific use is not listed by the supplier, the downstream user should substitute the substances with another substance from the same or different supplier that cover its conditions of use. Inform the consumer about the safe use of the product if some of these substances remain in the final product. An example of a regulated substances within the furniture sector is the formaldehyde. The Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation covers all types of packaging and packaging waste placed on the EU market. This means all materials and packaging, including industrial, commercial, household, and from other sectors. The proposal was published as Commission Communication 677 Final in November 2022. It has not yet entered into force and is subject to approval by the Parliament and the Council. These rules regulate the type of packaging that can be placed on the EU market, as well as packaging waste management and packaging waste prevention measures. All packaging placed on the EU market must meet essential requirements related to its manufacturing, composition, and reusability or recoverability. Among other things, by end of 2024, EU countries are required to implement producer responsibility schemes for all packaging. The directive also sets specific recycling targets for 2025 and 2030. Furniture companies should ensure that they use packaging that meet the regulation requirements, for example, packaging material, for example, substance content, recyclability, recycled content, etc., appropriate labeling, minimum weight and volume of packaging, possible use of reusable packaging, or maximum ratio of empty spaces in the packaging in relation to the packaged products. Is your packaging easily recyclable? The Waste Framework Directive revision focused on two resources-intensive sectors, textiles and food. The proposal was published as Commission Communication 420 Final in July 2023. It has not entered into force yet and is subject to approval by the Parliament and the Council. Its general objectives are to reduce environmental climate impacts, improve environmental quality and public health related to textile waste management in line with the waste hierarchy, to reduce the environmental and climate impacts of food systems related to the food waste generation. The proposal also introduced extended producer responsibility (EPR) requirements for the textile sector. These schemes would have to cover the cost of collecting textiles, shoes, and textiles-related products for use or recycling, as well as transport and sorting, and support research and development to improve the sorting and recycling processes. This proposal considers as textile-related articles, among others, other furnishing articles, excluding those of heading 9404, according to CN code. This excludes articles of bedding and similar furnishing articles, for example, quilts, eiderdown, cushion, puffs, and pillows, fitted with springs or stuffed, or internally fitted with any material or cellular rubber or plastics, whether covered or not. It is not yet clear if mattresses will fall or not under the scope of this review. Summary. This lesson explains the main regulations on the use of raw materials and waste management, namely Deforestation-Free Products Regulation, EUDR, Chemical Strategy, the Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation, and Waste Framework Directive Revision. These regulations cover aspects such as the origin and traceability of food, the use of chemicals, packaging requirements, and waste management.